Hi, I'm Allora Leonard. I'm so excited to be joining Hank on Hank's Corner.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Hank's Corner. I am Hank Jr. As always, I say I'm part of Hank Jr. Productions, where I'm documenting life's moments through photography, videography, and now podcasting. And I always bring you some of the upcoming and best upcoming artists that are out there today. I have a true cowgirl. She is a TCMA nominated Young Artist of the Year. Her latest album is Expectations. Please welcome Texas' own Allora Leonard. Allora, how are you tonight?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I am doing wonderful. And tell me, what part of Texas you're from?
Well, it's kind of middle of nowhere, but I'm Central Texas, so I'm kind of in between. Our closest towns are Brady and Mason. So basically, we kind of have a little bit of hill country, and Brady's kind of the gateway to West Texas. So we're really kind of in the heart of Texas, pretty much.
Yeah, and I kind of know where that is, being from Texas myself, but a
Yeah,
lot of people don't realize, what Texas, how big it is. But if
right.
those are picturing, everybody knows San Antonio, everybody knows Austin, and you're
Of
just west
course.
of there.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just 2 hours from Austin, 2 hours from San Antonio. So we're kind of really in the middle of everything.
Yeah, and for the most part, I lived in Corpus Christi, which was
Yeah.
about 2.5 hours away from San Antonio,
Mhm.
3 to 4 from Austin, and 4 to about Houston. And man, did we spend a lot of time, going to San Antonio, going
Yeah.
to Houston,
Yeah.
because that's where everything is happening, right?
Yeah. This is true.
And do you get to play out there?
In Corpus Christi, I
Well,
have a lot of friends
uh-huh.
that play out there, but I honestly haven't gotten the opportunity to kind of hit that market, but I look forward to doing it soon.
Okay, but how about San Antonio and Austin? Because everybody knows that those two are like really known for their music.
Right. San Antonio, I know I started picking up some gigs in there. In Austin, I've played a couple of venues out that way and am currently starting to book some more venues out that way. So,
Okay, good. And besides playing music out there, what are some of the favorite things that you like doing out there in either San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, wherever you may be? Because Texas is very vast. I mean, it's
it
it's got
is.
it's got its rural, it's got its city, it's got everything.
Oh yeah. No, definitely. To be honest, I don't head into the city all that often, except for usually gigs or if I'm visiting friends or anything like that. So usually I go in there for work, and that's kind of all I get to do. But I mean, really, that's what I like to do for fun. I love to play music, and I'm lucky enough that I get to make money from it. So
Yeah, definitely. And I can tell you are a true country girl, and the city life may not just be for you. But along the lines of out there in the country and out there having a good time, did I see that you were actually in Colorado this year as well?
yes, I was. Since I was about 10 years old, my family we've had a just a little place that we can go and have a few weeks vacation at, and so we were able to get a few days off and go up there, ride some horses and stuff. So I enjoy spending time up there.
Okay, and not only horses, and we'll talk a little bit more about that for the audience. Just wait till you hear what we have in store. But I saw you with a pair of skis, I think it was. Can you ski?
Yes, I can. Yes.
No. Okay, see, I can't. So, and well, to be honest, I've never actually tried, and I've
See
done
now.
some sledding, and I get hurt
Yep.
sledding. So,
See, there you go. There you
I,
go.
I don't know that I could stand up and go down a hill at the same time.
I mean, and I, I actually have video of this. I'm a much better skier than I am sledding, which is kind of funny. I know I got, I mean, I didn't get hurt bad whenever I went sledding this year, but I came down a really steep hill. It was really icy, and I hit a bad part of the ice, and I have video. My head just went,
Mm.
and I didn't wipe out skiing, but I have been skiing for a while since
Well,
I
that
was about 7 years old, I think.
That
So
that's awesome. That's pretty cool. Something that I always kind of wanted to try, but at this age, I'm not going to risk it. I like my bones too much to do that. But um, so
totally
you've actually
understand.
had you've actually had a very busy year this year, correct? I mean, I think did I see that you
Yes,
graduated this year?
I did. I sure did. That was exciting. That was a busy month, a really busy month. We had moved out to our place here in Texas. I'd been gigging a whole bunch. We released the new single, and then I graduated and had horse shows. So it was that was a crazy couple months.
Yeah, and how does it feel to have that off your shoulders? Because I know when I graduated, I could not wait to step out into the real world. Is that how you felt, or you're like, okay, I'm a little nervous about what's next?
It was funny because leading up to it, I would say beginning of senior year, I was like, man, I don't know if I'm ready for this next step. Am I really ready to leave home? I'm not sure. And I would say probably before finals started going on, I was like, okay, I'm ready to be done.
Okay,
I'm ready
and
to
when
get this.
you know.
Oh yeah. No, I was like, let's just check this off the box and be done.
Yeah, and one of the other things that you did that not too long ago, actually, you released a song called San Antone, and it's doing pretty well. Tell
Yep.
us a little bit about that, because I think that has a little bit to do about changes in one's life.
Yes, no, it definitely does. As you mentioned, I graduated high school, and over my junior year, I was touring colleges, trying to figure out what do I do? What do I want to go to school? What's the next step for me? I don't know. And so I was a little unsure at that time what I really wanted to do. So I called up one of my buddies, Lance Carpenter, who was the co-writer on this song. And, he and I just chatted for a little bit. We're like, you know what, this would be a cool song. And so we sat down a couple of different times over a couple of months, and we ended up coming out with that song. And, I was born and raised in South Texas, and it was in Hondo, Texas, which is about an hour from San Antonio. And so we thought it'd be fitting to name it San Antonio.
Okay, and why don't we go ahead and play San Antone here on Hank's
Yes.
Corner?
Last night I was thinking, watching that sun sinking, distant church bells ringing. Lord, I miss this place. Waking up before the break of dawn, feed the horses, throw a saddle on, hearing mama yelling, don't belong. I held freedom in those reins. There's gonna come a day when I pack my stuff into my dad's old truck, and I watch them
And you just heard Sand and Tone, the recent single by Allora Leonard here on Hank's Corner. I'm Hank Jr. Now, I kind of want to talk about the video to that because I heard that one of your friends, Brandi Behlen, who was on my podcast at one point, introduced you to
Yes,
the videographer to
you
set that up.
did.
Tell us a little bit about that because as a photographer and videographer, you know I'm going to plug those people.
Oh, absolutely. No, I mean that was so much fun. And no, she had plugged me in to the videographer, and oh my gosh, Gabe is the nicest guy. And it was my first time to do a true music video, to have all the outfits and the makeup and all that. And so, and he was very accommodating and very understanding of the experience. And he's a musician himself, and so he was just wonderful to work with. And we got to bring my horse Hank into the video, so that was fun. And also a friend of mine got to be my love interest, and so that was fun too. But I mean,
Yeah,
it was a really great experience.
and I like that you have a horse named Hank. It's a great name, and so
Yes.
I'm glad that you guys named the horse Hank.
Yeah.
But you have done a lot of stuff with Brandy, correct? I guess you guys do multiple shows, and
Yes.
I did see, and it's a little somber, but I'm glad that you guys did that. But you guys did a benefit for Uvalde, correct?
Yes, we did do a little benefit for Uvalde. Yep.
To tell us a little bit about that and how that went,
Yeah.
because the rest of the world saw that it touched our hearts, but those that are closest to it, I'm sure it had a more effect than everybody else.
Sure. Where I grew up in Hondo, we were maybe an hour away from Uvalde, and I would go to rodeos and barrel races there all the time. And so we have lots of friends that live in that area. And so it was shocking whenever I got that text message and saw that there had been a shooting. So, I mean, it definitely hit really close to home for me. But Uvalde Radio with Robert Miguel, he had reached out to me as well as Brandy and some other musicians to put together a benefit concert there in Hondo at the 7A Graph Ranch. And it was just a fun time. There were just a bunch of musicians, and a lot of us know each other, have seen each other down the road, and so we enjoy getting to play together and also do it for such a great cause.
Yeah, and that's one thing I've always admired about the musicians or the idea of music is that is one of the easier things that you can do to be able to give back because everybody enjoys a show, everybody enjoys music,
Yes, absolutely.
and that is great when artists actually use their talents for good like that. And thank you for you guys all out there coming together and supporting that town because we all know that they needed it.
Yes, absolutely. No, I mean, we were all very happy to do it.
Yeah. And I'm going to go ahead and play another song right now called One of the Lucky Ones. And when we come back, I want to find out a little bit of how you got your start.
Sure.
I heard my heart break like a mirror, louder than the Santa Fe train. If I was a ghost, I'd disappear so no one could see these tears on my face. Lately I just wanna run, get and forget where I come from. No matter where I go, I'm still here. Guess I'm just one of the lucky ones. Girl falls in love, gives all she has to the boy who hurt her so bad. Guess I'm just one of the lucky ones. Boy says goodbye, it's all over now. Big girls don't cry, it's our part of breaking up in the same town. down right now. Main Street's closed, the game's at home, and I'm just driving around. Lately I feel so alone. Wish I was anywhere but home. No matter where I go, I'm still here. I guess I'm just one of the lucky ones. Girl falls in love, gives all she has to the boy who hurt her so bad. Guess I'm just one of the lucky ones. Boy says goodbye, it's all over now. Big girls don't cry, it's all part of breaking up in the same town. Guess I'm just one of the lucky ones. A girl falls in love, gives all she has to the boy who hurt her so bad. I guess I'm just one of the lucky ones. Boy says goodbye, it's all over now. Big girls don't cry, it's all part of breaking up in the same town.
Welcome back to Hank's Corner. I'm Hank Jr. with my special guest, Allora Leonard, straight out of Texas. So tell me, how did you get started in music? Was this something that you picked up very young, or was it something once you got into your high school years?
You know, as I mentioned earlier, I've grown up with horses, and that's something that I've always, done. And I think I was about 8 or 9 years old. I was at a rodeo. And, when you're at a rodeo, if y'all have been to one, there's always music playing, all kinds of music. You have like AC/DC starting off, and then you have Shania Twain. And I mean, you just got a big mix of music. And so I always loved singing along to the music. And it was something I just always been really fond of. And I would always sing to my horses, especially getting ready for a rodeo and, running off into a big crowd.
Yeah,
And
and I
so,
heard that about you singing to your horses. And I'm
yes.
curious, what songs did you actually sing to the horses? Like, what songs did they like?
Well, they never bucked me off, so that was good. But I mean, honestly, I kind of started off singing in church a little bit, so a lot of it was hymnals, George Strait songs, and stuff like that. But I know I was at a rodeo, and I was 8 or 9 years old. I can't remember, but I was young, and I was singing to my horse. And some of the staff came up to me, and they're like, hey, okay, this little girl, she can sing a little bit. Let's get her to sing the national anthem. And so every weekend for the rest of the summer, I sung the national anthem at the rodeo, and it just kind of has snowballed into really what I'm doing now. I started, with singing at rodeos, church, and then I got into some talent shows, and then I started playing some gigs here and there, and now I'm playing even more gigs, and now at bars and honky tonks and all that fun
Yeah, and
stuff.
I definitely see that you've been very busy. I mean, I think it's a couple hundred shows a year. I mean, maybe not quite 200, but
Yeah,
pretty close to that.
pretty
Seems like you're
close. Yeah.
you're very busy, and you got this very powerful voice with a little bit of grit. I know that you'd like to hear that word, but did you always have that when you were little? Was that something that was natural, or did that develop over time?
I would definitely say, with anything, it's something that does develop over time. I know I had a voice teacher go back to some of my videos when I was a little bitty of me singing. And I know she had said, you know, and the belts and stuff, she said, you had a good belt at that age. And so I honestly, I don't think I ever really thought about it. I just love to sing. And so it's just something that I've tried, you know, I know, I think my voice started to change a little bit whenever I started, you know, listening to artists like Patsy Cline and Johnny Cash and, you know, just some of the classics. I think my voice, I started figuring out how to do the growl and get a little more grit and whatnot. So I think it's something, I think there were definitely some things in there that were kind of already, I guess you could say were already in me, but I mean, there are definitely certain things I had to learn and figure out for myself.
Yeah, I mean, we all, well, I say all because I have no singing talent, but maybe I have a different talent. But we all come with certain talents that just kind of need to be polished and worked on. And
Yeah.
that's pretty cool that that's your voice because, you know, like you said, you started out, you know, singing in church and little to your horses. And then here you are. I see you doing the cover of At Last. And I want to play a clip of that real quick.
Oh boy.
My love has come, my lonely days are over. Life is like a song. Ooh, yeah.
And that's you singing At Last. And that is just such an awesome, you know, like I said, I mean, you're becoming a powerhouse is what I can see. And what is the response when you sing that on stage?
I mean, it is such a well-loved song, and I know as far as, you know, me being a pretty straight up country artist, you know, throwing in covers like Etta James or Fleetwood Mac, sometimes I'll throw in Adele or just stuff like that. I know it's something that the audience really seems to enjoy, and you know, that is, I mean, Etta James is an icon, and that song is as well, and so it's one that I love to sing, and I know it's one that the audience seems to really enjoy as well.
Definitely. And are you still continuing your weekly or however often it is songs that you're doing the covers on social media?
I am, you know, that's something I've been trying to figure out, you know, the whole social media thing, and that's something that I just thought, you know what, maybe this would be just do a fun little weekly thing, and that seems to be it is starting to become a favorite with some of my followers and whatnot, and it's something that I really enjoy doing. And so I know the last video I put out was, I think it was a Fleetwood Mac song. I think I put out Landslide.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's definitely become one of my favorite songs to perform.
Yeah, and I'm a fan of that. So, you know, keep doing that if you can do it on a weekly thing.
Oh yeah.
I know plenty of artists that have been very successful for that, and everybody waits for that particular day for that artist to do
Yep.
that. So,
Yep.
if I have a vote, I would say keep doing that. But not
Thank
just
you.
covers, you are a songwriter yourself, correct?
Yes, I am.
So, when did you start songwriting, and do you remember the first song that you wrote?
So I think it was not too long after I learned how to play guitar, and I think I was 12 at the time, and I wrote my first song. And I remember at the time my English teacher was assigning us to start writing poems, and I was just coming out with a bunch of poems, and I was like, you know what, I can play the guitar, I can sing, why not write a song? And so I did. And I don't remember the song all that well, but I do remember the title, and it was Her Name is Texas. And so basically I was making out Texas to kind of be a person or a love interest for a cowboy that was, you know, settling in Texas. And so I know my dad has tried to get me to sing it again, and I just cannot remember how to
Oh
play it
no.
anymore.
Yeah, because I'm always curious on what artists think about some of their first songs because the majority of them say, "No, I'm not bringing that back out," and
Right.
they'll
Oh man.
actually have stuff on social media or other platforms where they'll just yank it down because they're like, "Yeah, that's not good for my brand or my image anymore," and then they pull it. But
Yep.
then some of them will actually leave it, and I think it's cool because I like to see where people started from and
Yeah.
kind of ended up, and I think the fans do appreciate that. I think they
Uh-huh.
realize that, hey, if you maybe weren't as talented as you are now, but that was your start, I think they enjoy seeing that realness of it versus, hey, what happened to those missing years? So
Right.
I'm
Right.
always curious about that. And do you write about your personal experiences, or do you just write about what you see outside of your life?
I know I try to. I know Sandtown was very much, personal, and Catch and Release was also kind of a personal song. There was a guy that kind of made me mad, and so I just sat down and wrote a song about it. So there's definitely quite a few songs of mine that I would say are based off of my own life, my own experiences. But whenever I would go to class or whatever and hear about you know just some of the things that my friends would experience, or even playing at bars, that'll get you lots of inspiration. Some of the
Oh, I bet.
some of the things you'll see and some of the things you'll hear, that's definitely lots of inspiration too. And so I may not always grab from just some of the things I personally experienced, but I know that's where a lot of it comes from, and some of it just comes from observing other people, because when you're up there on stage you definitely do a lot of people watching.
I'm sure you see a lot of stuff that we'll have to probably talk about offline that can't be said
Yeah.
online. But you mentioned Catch and Release, and that is one of my favorite songs by you because I just
Thank you.
love the old school sound that has. I mean, I could just picture
Thank you.
myself, being in a honky tonk, a bunch of people just dancing to it, and that's what I picture with the song. And let's go ahead and play it here on Hank's Corner.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be fine out on my own. Who said I needed you anyway? Well, I should have known that you were playing catch and release.
Welcome back, everybody, to Hank's Corner. I'm Hank Jr. here with Allora Leonard. So, I want to find out a little bit more about you outside of the music aspect. You mentioned horses. So, when did you start riding horses, and when did you start competing?
Oh Lord. So I know my grandparents used to breed horses. My grandfather is a veterinarian. And my mom, I mean, she always grew up with horses and she breaks and trains most all of her horses. And so at the time when she was pregnant with me, I mean, she was still training 3-year-old horses and, doing that. So, I mean, I guess really before I ever came out into the world, I was riding.
So,
so,
before birth, there you go.
so before birth. And I could definitely tell you that I learned how to ride before I learned how to walk. So
Wow.
it's something that's always been a pretty big part of my life. And I didn't start competing until I was 3. And
Well, that's still
and then
very young.
it's still really young. It's still really young for sure. But
Yeah, I think at 3 years old, I was still eating paste. I'm pretty sure.
now, when I say competing, I know my mom is leading me by the horse around the barrels and stuff. So I wasn't doing all the work, but I know I did start off doing that, and I did rodeo and barrel racing for many, many years. And then I had a horse get injured, and I also had a trainer of mine pass away. And so that was a little tough. I kind of backed off of the rodeo, and then I started doing what you call cow horse, where you do like a reining pattern where you kind of stop and slide your horse, you spin, and then they bring out a cow and you show that your horse can control the cow, like how you would control the cow out on the ranch. And you do some cool stuff. It's kind of like what you see on Yellowstone, some of those events.
Yeah, and I definitely enjoy going to the rodeos. And of course, one of the biggest ones was out there in Houston. I
Yep.
always loved the Houston rodeo.
Oh yeah.
And not just for the rodeos, but man, the talent of musicians that they had
Oh
out
my
there every
gosh.
year,
Yeah.
that was definitely good. But obviously, because you're out there on a ranch, you are working with horses and you're singing, you may
Yeah.
not have time for anything else. But if you do have other time, what is it that you're doing?
It's funny. So I know you mentioned that you like to do videography, photography. I actually kind of like photography myself, and a lot of the pictures that you see of me on social media, there are some that are from other photographers, but most of them are from me and pictures
Okay.
that I took myself. And I've been investing in trying to get myself a nice camera, but so far I'm just using the handy dandy iPhone with a little tripod. So that's something I enjoy doing, and I'll take pictures of the wildlife and the horses and all that. So that's something I really enjoy in my spare time.
All right. Well, that's pretty cool. And the iPhone, unfortunately for photographers, is really doing a great job at stealing our work. But I mean, obviously, it can't do certain other things. But I
Sure.
really enjoy watching your social media. You do a good job with your
Thank
brand
you.
on that.
Thank
And
you.
one of the questions I always like to ask the artist is about food, because one, I'm a big food guy, but also because being from Texas, I want to know, what
Oh
type
yeah.
of food do you like down there?
You know, my family had a meat packing company, and so I always the rule was, a steak a day keeps the doctor away in our family, and so I enjoy a good old steak with some mashed potatoes and Brussels sprouts and all that stuff. But in that same breath, I will go to a sushi restaurant and buy sushi and that
Hmm.
stuff. So I'm kind of a wild card when it comes to
Okay.
food. I kind of like anything and everything, but I do love a good steak.
Okay, well, I'll agree with you on the steak, but the sushi, I will pass on that. I tried it once, because I do try a lot of things once, but it was only once.
Oh no. My first
All right.
experience wasn't great either, but then I started getting into it.
Well,
So,
that's what people say, is that you got to try it more than once, and I'm like, no, I'm
yes.
good. I'm good. I'll stick to cook stuff. But so you're obviously on my playlist now. Tell me, what is on your current playlist?
Oh gosh. I know I have like some different separate playlists, but I know I'll throw in some Whitney Houston. I will throw in some Queen. I'll throw in some George Strait, some Patsy Cline. And I know Cody Johnson, Zach Brown Band, some stuff like that. But I know I have one playlist with kind of, the country stuff that I like listening to. And then I have another playlist that's for my dad and I when we're late night driving. And it's basically it's just kind of a mix of stuff. We'll have Islands in the Stream, then we'll have Michael Bublé, and then we'll bring out Bohemian Rhapsody. So
Okay. Well, definitely some of the songs you need to keep yourself awake while you're driving. So
yeah.
that
No,
that does happen.
I mean, people start asking a lot of questions when they look at my Spotify. They're like, "You listen to a lot of different things." I was like, "Yep, pretty much everything and everything." Yep.
And do you ever compare? Well, let me see how I can put this. Do you ever see what Spotify suggests? So you put yourself in there, and then it'll play some things that are similar that people might like. That's similar to you. Did you ever do that and see what artist that it picks that is similar to you?
I know like a lot of Texas artists came up, but luckily I didn't see anything that was weird. I know I've heard of some people, throwing in their name and they're like, who is this dude that popped up? So.
And you mentioned being out on the road and stuff like that. If you could go anywhere, budget's not an option, anywhere in the world, where would you like to go?
Okay. I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. I would say, honestly, I'd probably either go to Austria because I love the mountains and everything up there. I think it's beautiful, beautiful place. Or if I just purely wanted to go for food, I would probably go to Italy.
Okay. Well, I would love to go to Italy. It is on my bucket list.
There you go.
One day I might make it there, but Austria is very interesting because nobody else has said that yet. So that is a pretty cool place. I definitely think it's very scenic, and I agree with you with that. So what do you have planned for the remainder of this year?
Oh, gosh. I mean, I'll keep on keeping on with the horses, and I'll be booking more gigs. I'm looking to put together a band right now, so that's going to be up and coming definitely by next year.
Yeah, I saw you advertising that. Has it been successful with people, putting in for it, or is it kind of slow?
I mean, there'll be some days where I'll have lots of people that will be contacting me, and and I'll be contacting them. But then there are just some days where they'll be like, "Hey, I decided to retire," and you're like, "Well,
oh
well, on to the next one." So I mean, it's an off and on deal. I know that I reached out to some of my friends that are playing down here, and they're also kind of struggling a little bit with musicians. But I mean, I have hope, and I'm reaching out to some people that I think it'll end up being good. So.
Yeah, there's something about doing an acoustic set, but there's also something about having a band and getting the crowd all riled up about that. But whether you have a band or not, what should somebody expect from one of your shows?
Well, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I like to do a mix of different music and definitely different areas of country music for sure. And so, I mean, that's something I really love to throw in there, and I think that's one of my favorite parts of the shows. And also, throwing in some of my own songs, which I try to do a lot. And so that's something I enjoy getting to do, is playing my own songs and seeing what the audience thinks.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, we're going to end the podcast with one of my other favorite songs by you, which is Old Soul Girl. But before we do that, everybody, please check out Allora Leonard on all social medias. Check her out on her website. You're definitely going to want to listen to everything that she's had. And I guarantee, check back in a year or two, and she's going to be really moving up. So be watching that. But Allora, thanks so much for coming on my podcast today.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. And if you ever want to be a guest on Hank's Corner, you're more than welcome to do so.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me on.